Yeah.
Oh, pardon me, your beard, not that.
Need a beard. He is though, like.
Yeah. You changed.
Shaving on him. You didn't get the memo?
I just shaved this morning too, I'm sorry.
And I know I gotta go home, because they're kind of like Bridge Street or Waitman. We
Good to start right here. The beard cuts every once in a while.
Yeah, had somebody bring.
Hunting season is coming up, so.
Thank you.
And then there's November. I should have. I've not been able to pull up. Item number 2. But I've seen that before, so I didn't like it. Sure, I'll know more about the open committee.
Oh my gosh, but the other day,
I keep people want to be on that committee.
Like to call the finance committee, the whole order, and join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Weber,
Here.
Commissioner Campbell,
Here.
Commissioner Jazinski,
Here.
Commissioner Engler,
Here.
Commissioner Marino,
Here.
Commissioner Swaney,
Here.
Commissioner Hope,
Here.
all present, Mr. Vice Chairman.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Up next will be approval of the agenda. We'll start the meeting with general public comments. We have several appointments to boards and commissions. And then we've got 6 business items to take care of. And then we have no intergovernmental affairs, no administrative controller issues, no unfinished business, no new business. We'll have general public comment again at the end, towards the end of the meeting. And then announcements and adjournment. So with that, is there a motion to approve the agenda? So moved, Jelazinski.
Support Marino.
Moved and supported. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. And up next is general public comments on agenda items only. Anyone would like to speak to any agenda items? Yeah,
So I'm,
come on up and you can sign in
great. Get free coffee?
and we'll probably find you a cup of coffee.
Right, great, great.
As long as you brought the donuts.
Yeah, I do. All right. All right, so my name is Roberta Suhan and I put in for the opioid advisory committee, one of the members. So just a little bit about myself, born and raised here in Mount Pleasant and lifelonger. Have 2 children I've raised here in town, have a work history here in the county and continue to be here. I have a medical practice here now in town. I've served many years, 30 years actually in healthcare, 30 some, but worked a lot of that in behavioral health, which always incorporates a lot of addiction as part of that, and worked specifically in addiction medicine. I had my MATS training back in 2020, which providers don't always need that now to help all the patients with opioid addictions in particular, but just a matter pretty near and dear to my heart. I worked with the Goodrow Fund for many years and was a board member, and just that one person you can help here and there in life just makes a difference. So that's just, it's a passion of mine to help out, and I've worked in that area for a long time. So I just wanted to come and introduce myself to you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate that.
Thank you.
Anything else in general public comments? All right, seeing no one else, we'll get right into appointments to boards and commissions, and I'll kind of walk down through these, and if anybody wants to speak to any of these appointments, just stop and jump in. But the first one, A, is appointment to the Opioid Advisory Committee from the Isabella Trial Court. And Judge James has volunteered his time and effort to join that committee. We appreciate that. Item B, also the opioid advisory committee, Central Michigan District Health Department appointee. And Anna Reitz has put in an application for that. Ms. Reitz came and spoke to this board a couple months ago, maybe, about her work at the district health department with harm reduction. Gave us a nice presentation on that. Item C, also the opioid advisory committee, 1016 recovery network appointee, and Jessica Miller be that one. She is the, if I know, yeah. And Jessica Miller is the community engagement manager for 1016. Lots of experience with harm reduction. And then D is opioid advisory committee, community mental health for Central Michigan appointee, Jennifer McNally. Jennifer McNally is the Isabel County Chief Clinical Officer for community mental health. I've known her for many years. I know she'll be a good member of that committee. And then there is an at-large, actually there's two at-large seats on this committee. And for one, we have Ryan Griffiths as an applicant. And really, I gotta say, I'm thrilled that Ryan is able to throw his hat in this ring. Ryan's been around for a while. He's was a founding member of the Strickler Nonprofit Center, which houses the Food Pantry, Care Inc., and did house at the time the homeless shelter. Has moved a couple times since. But he also ran the Juvenile Justice Center in Midland County for some time and did great things out there. So great to have Ryan on board. The next appointment is an at-large, and we have two applicants for that one seat. Ms. Hahn, who just introduced herself to us. Thanks again for that. And then Stephanie Dunn. Yes, sir.
I know when we were working on the bylaws and I decided we need to have somebody representing the medical facility profession. I thought it might be difficult to fill this position, but we've got two good candidates. But I especially like Ms. Hahn, who's got some direct experience in medical treatment of opioid addiction. So I'll be supporting her when it comes up for a vote. The other lady's also has got long experience, but it's not as direct into what we need to do in terms of this responsibilities of the committee. And I think Stephanie's also for appointment to the Human Rights Committee.
Exactly. So we have a spot for her. If we don't appoint her to the Opioid Advisory Committee, but I agree, just going by the applications. I would also support Ms. Hahn in that. Also, I just want to thank Chairman Jelezinski. He did a lot of the work on getting this committee together and forming it and figuring out who needs to sit on it. And sometimes being a good leader is just figuring out who you need to get in a room together to make decisions. So we appreciate that. And that should soon be up and running. Got bylaws and
it's going to be a really high profile committee. Some excellent people willing to serve on it.
That's why the quality of candidates we've had is pretty high, so I'm expecting great things.
Yep. Okay. All right. We'll move those on to next week's meeting. And then G is appointing one member to the Human Rights Committee, Central Michigan University representative, and the applicant is an incumbent, Maureen Eke. Known Maureen for a number of years. Can't really imagine the Human Rights Committee without Maureen. She's been a vital part of that committee for a long time and does a fantastic job. And then the other appointment is also the Human Rights Committee for an at-large representative. And we have Stephanie Dunn, applicant. Stephanie has been involved in the community for quite some time, so should be a good addition to that committee, in my opinion. Any comments? Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm surprised at how much interest this committee has brought up. I know there's like 3 or 4 people that still want to apply yet, so they do have a week yet, so
Oh, okay.
I'm just saying that they could come forward, but I've had so much interest from people asking, I said, well, you get an application in, but you still have, I think we still can do that.
So if they're open, that's.
If they're open, but
So-
you only got a very short time, I told them they had to do it, so.
And that's for the Human Rights Committee?
No, that's an opioid.
Oh, the opioid,
Oh.
okay.
I think we're still waiting. There's one designated spot we're still waiting to
Yeah.
fill, and then I think 1 or 2 at large.
Is there two at large?
I think-
Well.
We'd
there's
have to
only
look, at least one
that's-
at large.
There's just one that's
Yeah.
not dedicated.
Yeah, so.
Just anybody can apply to, so.
It's a good sign.
but
So
we'll have a
I
quorum
don't know if
to
they're gonna
use
come
it.
forward or not, but I just had that conversation yesterday, so.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so impressed with the candidates and I'm happy about it. I've been involved with Isabella, Isaac, and several of those people are on there, like Ryan and Jennifer and all those people, and I'm really happy about that. I'm also really happy that we're finally going to be able to start distributing money to solve these problems that are everybody doing such a horrible thing in our county. So
It's taken some time to set this up, but I think we'll have a fund that will be there in perpetuity. And people can come and request grants for programming rather than hastily spending it all on one thing and then it's gone, so. It'll be a good thing. Any other comments, questions on appointments, boards and commissions? If not, we'll move all of those to next week's.
My only quick question.
yeah.
Sorry, real quick.
No problem.
I did see that Maureen, she sits on the board for the city of Mount Pleasant.
county, city commission.
Mhm.
Is that a conflict?
I don't think so. We've had other city commissioners sit on the board.
I was
It
just-
might even be another commissioner. on
Amy
it now.
Burkbacher, so I don't think she's on it anymore.
I think Commissioner Swaney is on Mount Pleasant
DDA.
Nate's development.
Oh, what,
What's your committee called?
which one does, so the downtown?
You're on the TIFA board,
TIFA and the
downtown,
DDA.
yeah, DPA. I didn't want to have to look it up, but you're on both of those, so.
Yeah,
TIFA board and the, yeah, DPA, so that's never been considered a conflict.
Good question though. And we will move those on to next week's meeting and committee reports. For the finance committee of the whole. Number 1 is consider ratifying and placing on file the September 12th invoice list in the amount of $265,650.74. The September 19th invoice list in the amount of $219,330.62. The September 26th invoice list in the amount of $215,775.44. And the adjustment list dated September 11th, 2025. And Administrator Smith, do you want to walk us through these?
Yes, thank you. So for the September 12th list of $265,650.74. The general fund portion of that is $31,328.83. These lists were sent out prior to the Board of Commissioners for their review prior to the meeting and the packet. And so some of the larger items of over $5,000 that are on this first page, there's 2 payments for portable radios for central dispatch. There is also Procom of $99,109.06 for the radio console backup. That's part of the 2% grant from Central Dispatch. The clerk has $11,768.75 to the August Circuit Court transmittals. And then we got Verizon bill, then McBride Quality Care of $43,000 for the day treatment monthly contract from the trial court.
Any questions on September 12th?
Just one, I could have swore it was a typo because on the drains fund, it was only $59 and I've never seen a drain fund come in at that. I said, did you miss a zero or
Small
something on there? So I'm looking at that, I said, I gotta be a typo. We have $60 for a drain fund, so what's a bit of cover or
It was
something?
just very small.
It is very small. I
Yeah.
wish they were all that size.
Yeah.
But anyways, so it wasn't a typo, but I was really curious.
Then if we go on to the next one for the September 19th list. Total amount of $219,330.62. The general fund portion is $134,408.89. Some of the bigger items that are over the $5,000 limit is the HATS contract, the biweekly animal for shelter services of $5,961.54. We have our prescriptions, we have consumers energy for multiple charges. Again, we have another Procom payment of $99,956.94. That is from the sheriff, and that was part of that radio tower grant that was left over that they use as kind of a match towards this project. And that's why you see one came from Central Dispatch, which was 2%. This one right here came from the sheriff's department, which was leftover funds from the radio project.
Any questions on that? September 19th last.
Okay, the September 26th list, total amount of $215,775.44. General fund portion of that is $94,349.78. Out of here, we have Preston Community Services for $19,375 for the equalization contract. Michigan State University of $43,379.75 for the fiscal year 26 first quarter work plan payment. We have monthly and dental vision insurance. We have $34,391 to Morrison Industrial Equipment for a forklift for the recycling center, and that was paid for by a 2% grant. And then we've got 2 contracts for attorneys for public defender appointments.
Okay. Any questions on the September 26th last? Okay.
Okay, adjustments list for September 11th. These are the ones that we prepay early to get discounts or to avoid the late fees. And also ones that are changed to account for fees that are invoices that were added incorrectly in here. So what you'll see is the typical ones for food service, different townships for the taxes, I believe, and then Gordon Food Service and Consumers are the main ones that we see. That's one.
Yep, pretty typical.
Yep.
Any questions on the adjustment list or any of the invoice lists? And seeing none, we will move that item to next week's meeting. And item number 2 is consider approving the Region 7 Area Agency on Aging contractual agreement with Isabel County and other required documents for fiscal year 26 and authorize the board chairperson to sign the same. And Jennifer Crawford.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So here is our contract for fiscal year 26 with Region 7 Area Agency on Aging, and the funding we receive through this contract helps reimburse services through both our Food with Friends and our in-home services program. And is this one at the total for fiscal year 26, $277,971. And that is about 22% of those budgets. So it's pretty substantial. So we rely really heavily on those reimbursements. And this is our 53rd consecutive year of having a contract with Area Agency for these services. So certainly would love to keep them going.
That would put it back in the early 70s.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
And if I'm not mistaken, this is the federal money that
Yeah.
comes into Region 7 and then gets dispersed among
Correct.
the various local commissions.
Correct, yeah, they are our, basically like a coordinating agency for our region. There's several throughout the state that do that for all the other commission on agings and councils on agings, but it is a combination. It's actually, they also receive some state dollars, so at the end of the year, we get a breakdown of what of these dollars are federal, what are state, that they use for the audit. But the majority, I would say, are the older American Act dollars, which are federal.
Mhm. Okay, any questions? All right, seeing no questions, we will move that item to next week's meeting. And item 3 is the individual services contract for Tai Chi substitute instructor.
Yeah, so I didn't have this one yet when I brought forward all the other personal services contract that we have. But we actually had an individual come forward who works with our Tai Chi instructor, and she's also certified. And she has offered to step in when our normal instructor is not able to be here, because up until now, when Jim is not here, classes are canceled. And it is a popular class. It's on Tuesdays and Thursdays, so when you're done, peek your head in the fitness room. Sometimes on a lot of days, we actually have to reserve this room or another room as a backup because it's gotten so large. So we have such a crowd that really enjoys those classes. So we were really thankful that she was willing to step in and was approved by Jim as well as a good instructor. So we would be paying this individual the $35 a class in his absence. And this way we could just keep the classes going.
It's a pretty good deal.
Yes.
$35 a class.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
That's
It
great.
is. It is.
That's fantastic. So they're Tuesdays and Thursdays during the day?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, they start in the morning, I think 9 o'clock, I think is the first class, and they do 2. They do a beginning and then an intermediate.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah, and in the summer on Fridays, they go out to Island Park and do one in the park.
Hmm.
And they'll put little signs out just to try to get, just to promote it as well and let people see it in action out in the public to see what the class looks like.
Nice.
Yeah, it's cool.
It is Tai Chi,
Tai Chi, it's like slow movements,
Okay. like yoga.
kind of,
Okay.
but it almost, and it's not martial art,
It's
like,
also stretching.
it's like for
really-
balance.
Yeah. and
Yeah.
Energy, energy
No,
pumping
Yeah.
of your body.
Help those with
You do it?
arthritis.
It's thousands of years old.
Yes, it is
Online.
so popular. It's awesome.
Just curious.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's really fun.
I
Like,
can't do it.
it's really neat. And even if, we've had individuals like, let me know, like if they've gone to Florida for the winter or whatever, he'll even send them with packets for them to complete their exercises. And it's very good for, balance. And we actually, I'll bring probably a contract to you later. We get another contract with Area Agency where they do the evidence-based programming, and that's considered a help for arthritis. So we do like the Tai Chi for arthritis program, and we actually can get another reimbursement for a grant for that on top of it. Yeah.
There's a whole special program where you can do it from a chair. So, yeah. I'm way too much.
I just know that I've done yoga before,
Yeah.
and yoga is, everybody just thinks
Oh,
it's not. I'll tell you what, that was the worst workout. I mean, my body hurt for 2 days doing yoga.
well, we do that here as well. So maybe you could come. We have chair yoga and regular
We
yoga.
don't have goat yoga yet.
We don't have what?
Goat yoga.
We do not. We can send them out to your place right now.
No, Penny's always wanted a goat, and because I know they climb on everything, like trucks and everything else. They're cute. Do you have one?
Not heard of that one yet.
Okay.
Man, that kind of day, isn't it?
Yeah, we will move that item to next week's meeting. And item 4 is the 2026 A&D Home Healthcare Incorporated waiver contract.
So we do work with, we have 2 different waiver providers in our community, so we can either be A&D Home Healthcare or it's Region 7 Area Agency on Aging. And so with them, we participate with both of them and help provide home delivered meals for their clients that they have. So if in order to qualify for waiver, you actually qualify for nursing home care, so it's a higher level of care than what our staff provide here. But then there are other services that we can help supplement, and meals is one thing we can help with. So they work with them. They have their case managers through A&D Home Healthcare or Region 7. So in this case, A&D, they have nurses that work with the clients, and they just ask us to help provide a meal. So this contract is just for that. They will reimburse us $5.50 for a meal, and then our drivers deliver it just like, it's just like one of our normal routes. They're included in our normal route. They're just a waiver client.
Are they made here as well?
Yeah,
Do they make
yep,
it?
it's all the same. It's everything. They're on our normal home delivered meal route, just like any other client.
Okay.
We just bill A&D for those ones because they reimburse us for that.
Oh, good.
Yeah, yeah. So they're Isabella County residents.
On the same Monday, Wednesday, Friday schedule? Okay.
Yes. Yep. And we don't have many for A&D. It's a smaller caseload. It's really just a handful, I believe, right now of clients that we have with them. The Region 7 one, there are a lot. They serve a lot of clients in our community. So that one, I think we bring in, 15 to 17,000 a year in reimbursements, where this is $200, I think.
Okay. Great. Any questions for Director Crawford? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And we'll move those items to next week's meeting. And item 5 is consider approving the on-call stipend for prosecuting attorneys at a pay rate of $550 per week and $200 per federal holiday for fiscal year 26. With the understanding that this stipend cannot be received by the elected prosecutor and does not automatically renew in fiscal year 27, Mr. Quelch.
So, I kind of provided an email. I'm just trying to be transparent on this issue and kind of give information ahead of time from our position on this. And so this was something that it's been approved for the last couple of years, started by Mr. Barberry. And so the history of that, before we never had a on-call stipend whatsoever. So the attorneys had to work through that for years. I was part of that, being on call. And so the stipend, with the history of it, I view it a couple ways. One, we wanted our office to be competitive with salary issues around the state, and there's a shortage of attorneys in northern Michigan and prosecutors. So this shortage of attorneys is not foreign just to my office. Many offices have this. I know Mecosta County for a while, I think they typically had 3 or 4 prosecutors. And as of a couple of years ago, I'm not sure where they're at now, they were down to their head prosecutor was handling everything. So that kind of spells out, but our county, it's similar with our county and other counties, a shortage of hiring. And so we have had, until recently, the APA 1 position, which is typically referred to an entry-level position. When Mr. Barberry was here, I think we had that posted for a year without anybody even applying. So traditionally, we would have third-year law students that were taking the bar would apply for that position. And then the idea would be to hire them after they pass the bar as an attorney. So that's the typical scenario for the APA entry-level APA 1 positions. For some reason out there, law students, third-year law students have not applied for that position. Surprising to me, because when there was ever an opening for the prosecutor's office over the years, I was a public defender for 16 years and in private practice. And when I had the opportunity to apply for becoming a prosecutor, I jumped at it because I thought this opens every 10 years, there's a position open. So it's very different now. And we don't get the third-year law students applying for some reason. So, will that turn around someday? I'm hopeful that it will. So I know our Prosecutors Association around the state's kind of working hard to try to turn that around, the mindset of law students to become prosecutors. So I think some of the mindset may be, I can go elsewhere as a young attorney and make a lot more money, okay, which is true. It may be true. So, but I'm optimistic it'll turn around at some point, but we're working on those issues. So for the past 2 years, we've had the on-call stipend. It's an on-call process. It lasts for the entire week. So starting on Monday morning, we rotate with our assistant prosecutor. So I'm not on that list anymore. I used to handle that as part of the rotating list.
And so they're on call for the entire week, including, so it started on Monday, 12:01 a.m. Monday, and then would go throughout the entire week. We'll get calls by law enforcement, all hours of the night. It's after hours, so it's common. The common call is for a search warrant from the drug agencies or just police agencies in the past, and sometimes we still have to go into the office and draft the entire search warrant. So it wouldn't be unusual for myself when I was on this to show up at 3 a.m. I'd get a call from law enforcement, walk over to the county building, do the search warrant. They would process it, sign off, and then I wouldn't go to bed and just basically keep working. So, you know, nobody complains about that. That's part of the job. It's a good feeling to assist and be part of that process, quite honestly. So the other typical call may be for, you know, law enforcement has questions all the time. They'll be out on a call, then they'll call, wake you up basically, and ask you a question. I still get those calls. I welcome those calls, even though I'm not on call from our office. I mean, they're important calls. Some of them may involve like domestic violence, and it may be a scenario where law enforcement will kind of lay it out for us and say, you know, we have a juvenile here. What do we do with this scenario? We have a domestic situation or something seems civil in nature. You know, what would you like us to do on this? So we have to advise them, you know, they're cold calls. So you got to wake up and be on your game immediately on these issues. The other calls we receive typically are these extradition calls where somebody's picked up in another jurisdiction. There's a warrant in our county. And so the question becomes, it's out of state. So we'll get calls. You know, one comes to mind. I got a call from Hawaii one time about, okay, you have a warrant on a serious charge for this defendant. We've picked him up in Hawaii. So then the end story to that was, well, he's charged with homicide in Hawaii. Okay, we have a very serious offense here that's 20 years old, and he's been on the lam for 20 years. Do you want him extradited? So then that becomes a kind of a dual issue with the nature of the crime that we have the warrant here, but also our budget for extradition is very limited. So that one ended up well because they said he's not getting out on bond here. Homicide, he's going to do, you know, at least 20 years or whatever the issue was. So, you know, we didn't have to have him extradited, but we do have, we get these calls all the time. I remember calls from South Texas. We've, you know, just all types of calls from around the country. We've picked up this person. So we have to, I will have to look at the nature of the offense. It's a felony offense that there'll be a warrant for. Does our budget warrant it or not to extradite them? It may be like it's a bad check, felony case, something of that nature. We don't have it to extradite them in the budget. But on the other hand, these people, they may take care of business because they don't want to keep getting arrested every time, lodged in jail, have to face a judge for extradition in Isabella County. So sometimes, I can't give you numbers, but sometimes these people will just basically come back to Isabella County, try to take care of matters that are old warrants so they don't have to live with that scenario anymore. So anyway, those are the typical calls that we'll receive. Then we have the on-call. We have the weekend warrants, and the weekend warrants are the attorneys in my office will appear for arrests from Friday night after business hours until Sunday night after business hours. And so the police will have arrest and that person has to be arraigned. And so we will do the paperwork to first of all, to review it, if it's a chargeable offense, and if so, what offenses. So our attorneys will draft the felony complaints, the misdemeanor complaints. Some of them where bond is set automatically, we don't have to do the warrants for the weekend. So just if it's like a retail fraud, something of that, the court automatically sets a bond, and then we'll look at charging, you know, in the process during the week, during business hours. But these will be arrests where there's felonies, they have to be arraigned, and bond has to be set. So our attorneys will draft the review it first of all to see if it's something that we charge, if there's enough evidence, and then if we do charge it, then they have to do all the paperwork back to the police agency, who then sends it to the magistrate, and the person gets arraigned. So I'm not going to exaggerate, but we used to have them for welcome weekend. I was on call for welcome weekend for CMU a few years ago when it was very chaotic. I think those days are past us now, thank goodness. We may have just our typical warrants on welcome weekend. But one year on welcome weekend, I had 19 warrants to do. And so I was in the office all day on Saturday, all day on Sunday. And a lot of them were these MIP alcohol issues with students that would turn into felony resisting police just because they had, a container, a styrofoam cup of alcohol. They would run from the police when they'd see the police. So that's resisting. They would, maybe fight with the police. So basically when the MIPs were decriminalized, a lot of that went away. So the 19 warrants, that's very unusual, but that was common for a weekend warrant a few years back. Most of the time though, we get a lot of tribal police, casino related, domestic related. And so city police, state police, every agency, it's pretty active. So it would be very common to have about 5 warrants to do overnight from Friday night into Saturday. If there's a concert at the casino, typically there's going to be more. They may have drug activity in the parking lot. That's very common that we have to deal with those charges in those scenarios. And just across the board, just a lot of cross-section of crimes we deal with are committed on the weekends. Just because it's the weekend doesn't mean that things come to a halt. So Friday night to Saturday, Saturday to Sunday, same thing. It'd be common between 5, 9, 10 warrants that we will have to do every weekend on top of those calls that I mentioned. So I think to have a competitive balance, let's say salary wise, be more competitive. I think Mr. Barberry had this idea also to compensate the work that was done. And he brought that forth to the board a few years ago. And it's a yearly thing. So this process that we have, it's not part of the current adopted budget. And we thought it was, quite honestly, but as brought to our attention, it was not. So I set forth this information for the board to approve. We would ask that the board approve it. And it's something we have done. I remember some of the meetings before Mr. Barber were talking about public defender wages in our county versus the prosecutor's wages. And part of it is that in our minds, in our tabulations of everything, we do upwards of, or the public defender does about 60% of the work that my office does. Because they represent a person once they're charged, but they do not represent the person to make a charging decision like my office does, reviewing the evidence, working with law enforcement. They are not on call on weekends. So that's the extra amount for the stipend. In addition to that, my office does handle civil matters, a number of civil matters. We have drug forfeiture cases. We have representing the departments on certain issues, zoning issues that are civil in nature that my office will represent that public defender does not. So I'm not knocking the public defender's office. They do what they do. We do what we do, but our workload is far in addition to what they do. They kind of react to what we do as far as charging. So this was an attempt, I know, to do a couple things. One, to maybe even the playing field in our minds. Maybe that's a bad choice of words, but to recognize that factor. In addition to that, my office isn't at full staff. We're at currently 4.5 prosecutors, but soon to be 5. So we've got some things that are going to be changing here that I'll announce later. But one of the recent hirees we have is from the public defender's office. And so he'll be starting October 6th as APA 1. And him, as well as two other more recent hirees, assistant prosecutors, were promised or told about this stipend also. So, you know, the income, they kind of looked at it and said, okay, it's something we'll consider, but then my office can add the fact that, well, this included income is also include a stipend to boost the income, so to speak. So based on that, that was told to the most recent hiree. I believe that certainly was a factor in him coming over. And then the felony hiree from December, same thing. And I'm fearful and being transparent that if this isn't approved, I can think of at least one attorney in our office that's going to walk and it's going to leave the office because there's other options out there. There's other shortages in other prosecutors' office. So it's not any sort of threat or anything. It's just a reality that I believe would happen in dealing with. So anyway, I've just brought this to the board's attention and we would ask that it be approved. It's been approved for the last 2 years. We've looking at the budget process and the information, we have numbers, but we didn't have any way to look at it closer to know that our salaries that were listed, there's just a dollar amount to delineate further that included or didn't include this on-call stipend. We thought it did include it. Turns out it does not include it. So that's why here I brought it to your attention. So any questions? I'd be more than happy
Just
to
a comment, but I think if we could just get people to commit crimes during regular business hours. Would help, but I have a couple comments, but I'm gonna wait and let everyone else go. Go ahead.
I just wanted to give some history because we do have 2 new commissioners, a new administrator, so. And of course, back then we had different committees and criminal justice committee and Commissioner Sweeney and even Commissioner Delsinski were on that. So where this all started was when the MIDC skipped from standard 7 to 8, which requires salaries. And so because the MIDC is heavily funded by grant, I can't remember, 85%, whatever. So there was a perception of inequality in there. So at that time, we had a lot of conversations with Prosecutor Barbary and trying to fix that gap. These arguments, we had a lot of arguments that we had, or not arguments, discussions about the same things you brought up. So we were trying to figure a way to make that available without increasing legacy costs, because at that time we were also laying people off. So it was just going to be a bad choice. I think I said some of the discussion was, well, you need to be a little bit creative how you do this. So at that time, because of the employment, there was a lot of, they were underemployed, so there was money in there, so they were under budget. So this was a solution to try to booster that. And maybe that was a solution that happened. That's why it was never in the budget process, because they were always under budget at that time. So I encourage all the department heads to be creative and within their budget. And this was a solution that he came up with to ratify that. So am I getting that right? I think you were chairman at the time. And I think that was why, because it was just perception and we had to do it to get the MID funding. I think that was part of that went in there. So our main thing was that we really couldn't go over budget on any departments at that time because we were cutting back pretty heavy. So I think that the history of it, and that's kind of where this all came from. So yes.
I was gonna say, it was just a mistake that was made, nobody's fault. We have new people that come in and it's proven itself to be a good tool the last 2 years. And I think we know the stresses that all of our departments are under. But this has been a tool that's been working for the prosecuting attorney's office, and as a chief law enforcement officer for the county, and, you know, I think we need to continue using that tool. So I'll be supportive of it next Tuesday.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm, thank you for the history. That's really enlightening by why it's not in the budget, but going forward, I don't see why we couldn't put it in the budget now from going forward, because we see really good value in this. So and I'm definitely supporting this.
Yeah, go ahead. I'll let you.
Can I just do
Go
a
ahead.
little bit of history too? What I found digging through it is that it wasn't part of the salary and wage sheets that were done in the past, since that line was always, you know, there's always one vacant position. So that was able to absorb that extra cost that went into it, plus it was still less. So that's why when I explained to the board that it's not in the budget per se, technically it's not, but it doesn't mean. And the reason why is that I would recommend that if you do approve it, that you do a budget amendment in case they do get that other person hired, so that they're not going over budget. So we're not doing anything. I think this way, actually putting those real costs in the budget would make sense. So that way it's a process that it's all transparent and we're all aware of it. And then when we go through this process next year, that would then be built in. We would do this process a little bit earlier, and that way it kind of all meshes together. So I just want to make sure that on the technical side, it wasn't budgeted. And that's why I just want to make sure everybody was aware. So if you approve it, we'll come back with budget amendments for this fiscal year 26.
Yeah, I remember when Mr. Barbary brought this to us, and your recollection matches mine in that he was trying to find a way to attract and retain attorneys in a difficult time. And it's still a difficult time to attract and retain attorneys. This does it without building legacy costs. So it was a good deal. And to ask people to be on call 24/7 without some additional compensation. I mean, even maintenance workers that I work with, if they're on call, they get additional compensation for that. So it's only fair, I think. I can see how it got missed. Different prosecutor, different administrator, different finance director. It kind of got lost in the shuffle, I think. And it's not in the budget, but I think it can be. That's my feeling on it.
I'm glad that we'll be able to move forward with it. A little bit more transparent and obvious, you know, you can see why it can be missed when it's just really just kind of taken out of a salary that's not being used.
And then it was all on the payroll side, so there was a little pay code that was in there
Yeah.
that was, you know, on that, so it just flowed right into those lines and it wasn't attached to any particular, you know, so that's why when we were doing those sheets, it just got missed.
Refining our process.
Yeah, I do think that,
That's a good way to put it.
you know, we can actually work on that next. Currently, we could continue with the way we are. But next budget, we need to figure out a way how we're gonna
Well,
put that
that's-
in there and straighten that up. I don't,
Yeah, we'll
there's
just,
a lot of ideas. how
we'll
we
just
can do
get this
that.
approved early on before the drafts are done, and that way it's kind of baked into the budget at that point, and then you're aware of it and
Yeah.
everybody understands. And then, you know, I would still recommend that, you know, we do a budget amendment for fiscal year 26 to reflect the true cost. So if for some reason he can get everybody fully staffed, then we're not having to do a budget amendment at that point.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, anything else on that item? Okay, we'll move that to next week's meeting. And our final item is consider approving budget amendment 2026-01 BLC to establish the fiscal year 26 budget for Great Lakes Bay, Michigan Works. Authorize board chairperson to sign the same.
And we have Finance Director Chris Whitmer is online to go over this item. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can. Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
Joining you from Muskegon this morning from the Michigan Government Finance Officers Association Conference. This budget amendment we have before you is to bring Great Lakes Bay Michigan Works on under the county's umbrella. This is their fiscal year 26 budget. As you can see, it's a $20 million budget, so very, very big one, nearly as big as our general fund. It is made up of 19 different departments and 21 different projects, which in the past for Great Lakes Bay were, I believe, actual departments as well, but only 2 or 3 revenue and expenditure line items in those. So I created projects for Great Lakes Bay so that they can track the revenues and expenditures for those. As you can see, all their revenues equal their expenditures. No use of fund balance or anything. Ray Ogden with Great Lakes Bay provided me his budget. I took his spreadsheets and set up our BSNA general ledger for them and all the line items and accounts and converted it to our chart of accounts for him. So this is their budget to bring them on for fiscal year 26.
Okay. Director Whitmer, one question. Are one of these lines, do one of them represent the indirect costs that we get from?
I suspected that might be one of your questions. So yes, their indirect costs are built in. I do believe they will, they're built into their administration department as well as a couple other ones. Their administration department is Department 736. So that is where we will see their indirect costs come out of and then come into the general fund.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you for providing those backup sheets to all this too. I think it kind of gives a little bit more line by line explanation on some stuff.
Absolutely. And I guess I should mention also in relation to those indirect costs, Great Lakes Bay will most likely do another budget amendment as we move forward in the fiscal year to move some monies out of some of the other expenditure line items they have in their administrative department and move them to the transfer out for indirect costs. So that total amount will be the amount that you know the county is expecting to receive. I do believe they're going to be able to reduce their MERS costs and some other things by coming under our umbrella, and that's where they'll be able to have that savings, take it out of those line items, put it in the transfer out for indirect costs. So that'll be a different budget amendment coming to you after we get rolling.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah, maybe this is getting a little bit ahead of the cart here, but on our audit, we do a separate audit for the federal grant. So will Great Lakes do the audit for the federal grants, or will that be under our grant in this agreement? Is that something you need to look at?
I will have to look into that, but I would assume from an audit standpoint that that's, you know, they're gonna fall under our umbrella.
Okay, so, okay.
As a county department per se, and Isabel County employees, it would be under us, I would assume as well.
Okay, just curious. We're not gonna have to double. They don't have to do one, we don't have to do
No.
one, so,
I would suspect not.
okay, I'm just curious.
Because like your medical care would be a component unit, your road commission is a component unit, they do their own, but then they merge into ours, this would be within ours.
Okay,
And we've already talked with the auditors on this one as well, so they're aware of the onboarding process for Michigan Works.
Any other questions? All right, thank you.
Great job on all this. It's been quite the process.
Yes, it was. I guess I didn't realize going into it how big it really was, but it was pretty interesting setting it all up, and just glad that we're going to be a good resource to Great Lakes Bay, and hopefully our accounting system will be a great thing for them to use and help them with their financial reporting and their financial needs that they use to plan.
Mhm. Thank you.
Excellent. Okay. We will move that item to next week meeting. And that concludes business items We don't have any intergovernmental affairs, no administrative controller issues, no unfinished business, no new business. Any general public comments? No one for general public comments, announcement? You know, yes, sir.
Isn't there gonna be a thing at the fairgrounds coming up? You know, a collection.
Tire collection?
Tires.
Yeah, September. The second I'll look it up.
Yeah.
I should know it, but I don't. Too many things going on.
Number 13th.
Oh, you're quack record I am. Okay, yep, September 13th. You gotta have this. October 4th is tire.
Oh, okay.
Fire, just fire or anything else.
Say, we're past that.
Yeah, there's,
Well, I was on, no, October 4th.
Yes.
Yeah,
Dummy
yeah,
packet.
October 4th, so
Is there a certain time?
from 8 to noon and
I would get there early.
early because even once the trucks are filled up, they have to turn away, so. And usually that happens before noon, so
Is that just tires?
just the tires,
Okay, got it.
that's at the fairgrounds, so.
Okay, thank you.
I know there was something else going on there, so there might be a different path from what they're usually going, but there'll be signs there, so.
Thanks.
I think, that's it.
Any other announcements? Yes, sir.
I don't know if you want me to say anything to Nicole Frost. Kathy and I will be going to the Michigan Forestry Association conference this coming weekend, and I'll be able to see her.
Say hi.
Yep, yeah.
She thought she got rid of me as being a sore thumb. But here I am again.
Well, tell her hi for all of us. All right. I just have one, I was reading the Morning Sun this morning and the Isabel County Medical Care Facility was ranked, number 10 of 17 nursing homes from 100 to 149 beds by Newsweek. They ranked 1,200 different nursing homes out of a total of 15,000 nationwide. So to even be included in the ranking was something. They were ranked by 4 metrics: performance data, peer recommendations, accreditations, and resident satisfaction. So that agency has been operating since 1965 and rated 5 stars by the Center for Medicare and Medicaid Services. Due in part to their high staff ratio. And they also have 60 to 80 volunteers at any given time, which is fantastic. So kudos to the Isabella County Medical Care Facility for that.
Is that across the station or across Michigan? The ranking
Across the nation.
nation? Okay, I wanna make sure I have it right.
Mhm. Any other announcements? Okay, hearing none, is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll move Marino.